What's up, Las Vegas? I'm Nurse Sam, and for over 20 years, I've been obsessed with learning all the best kept secrets of Las Vegas. I started my journey with no clue, no connections, and no money. And over time, I've learned a lot. I now help people fall in love with Vegas and help you discover all the amazing treasures found here in the high desert. It's all fair game because I'm your host, Norisa Sam, and you are listening to Beyond the Strip. And make sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you want more videos like this to discover the best of Las Vegas and the people that are changing it for the better. Hope you enjoy following, and let me know in a message below, who do you want to see next featured on Beyond the Strip? We are going to be chatting with Brandon Catron, who is a personal finance advisor and insurance agent for New York Life. He has a ton of advice for us on protecting your family's financial future and his strategy for living a happier, more fulfilling life in Las Vegas.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So, Brandon, I'd love to talk to you about who you are and how did you choose Las Vegas to be your home?
Great question. Well, my name is Brandon. I am a husband. I am a father of three. I have a 9-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 1-year-old. So
Wow.
They tell you after one kid, it's a party. So it's a party every day. In terms of how I chose Las Vegas, I actually am from Los Angeles, California. And my parents moved to Orange County when I was about 4 years old. Like, that's when Orange County was booming. So, it was brand new. They had a bunch of new builds. It was like the place to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then we decided to move to Las Vegas when I was 9. My grandparents were a little older, and my mom wanted to come help them out. My grandpa was in and out of the hospital a little bit. So my mom wanted to help with my grandma, just taking care of my grandpa. So I moved out here as well. So I've been out here for going on almost 20 years. So I tell people I'm from California, but really I'm from Vegas. I was born and raised in Vegas. I'm a Lakers fan, so LA all day, but I'm from Vegas. So
that's fantastic. I had the same experience when I first moved to Las Vegas. It took me a while to really feel like a local because,
Right.
you really identify with where you grew up. But Vegas is very different. And we have people from all over and that move here. So, everybody identifies where they came from. But I've found that after being here for 20 years, I'm like, wow, I am a local now. At this point, I can say for a fact I'm a local, and it's a very different lifestyle than what people would normally suspect of somebody who lives in Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah. I feel like they just assume we all live on the Strip. We all gamble. Doesn't matter if you're a kid or adult. Like, everything's run by the Strip. They don't know about the Summerlins, the North Las Vegas, the Hendersons, the Southwest, right? Like, they don't know about that.
Yes.
They just assume Vegas, Stratosphere, MGM, Strip. That's it. So it's a different perspective. I enjoy Vegas. We're a real community, right? Because they're obviously we're getting sports teams. So obviously we're more than just, people come to, shoot dice or roll dice, whatever. Like, they're here because they see that we're actually becoming a real part of this country. Again, it's not just tourism, it's a community. So I think little things like what you're doing with this podcast, or little things like just putting spotlight on small business owners, talking about the different communities that make up the city, and whether it's the rich part of the city or the poor part of the city, like every background, every diversity part of this city, it makes up the city. It's not just one side or the other. You can find many great things in Summerlin. You can find many great things on the east side. Like, it's not just, oh, well, you have to live in a certain area to learn or to, live the Vegas life. Like, no, you can live that anywhere in the city, which makes it so great.
Secretly, I love a lot of places on the east side. I used to live in the Las Vegas Country Club. And it's kind of right there in the center of Las Vegas. And, I'm going to the little pupusa shop, the torta shop. Like, they don't even speak any English. And I'm like, yes, this is where I want to be. I'm like, I want the Mexican bakery. I want the tres leches cake, like, straight out of Tijuana. Like, that's what I want. I love that. The only reason I moved is because, having kids, I really was like, wow, it's tough because I'd have to drive 45 minutes to take my son to the park.
Right.
I got to move to the suburbs. I get why people do that.
Right. Like once you have kids, it's really all about that family life. Like my wife has taught me a lot about like family is everything. Like I feel like I've always wanted that. Like with my family, like my parents were divorced when I was young, so it's always just kind of single parent life. But I always like envision like just having a big family and just doing everything family oriented because when times get tough and people disappear, all you have is your family. So I
Mhm.
appreciate the things I've seen in this life. But I appreciate where I'm at right now because it's taught me a lot. And I agree with you. You gotta live in the suburbs to live this family life. So
Like just the fact of, hey, I'm going to get on a bike with my 3-year-old strapped on, and then I'll have my 6-year-old following in his bike with his, like, little safety wheels, right? And to be able to just drive on my actual, like, go on our actual street
right.
and hit like a little pathway, and we're like going through like a park.
Mhm.
I never appreciated that when I didn't have kids.
Nope. Just walking around the neighborhood or just walking. Like we made it a thing to a couple times a week, just getting out. Like before it got really hot, or if it was hot, we'd wait till like sundown. But I've never seen so many people just walking around in my life. Just 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock at night. Just people just walking around. Like I know the gyms were closed. Everyone wants to kind of somewhat stay in shape. So I agree. I didn't appreciate that until I became a family man. Like I didn't appreciate the little things, like enjoying just walking around and just enjoying being outside. So
Something I love about Las Vegas is people don't realize we have almost perfect weather 80% of the year.
yes.
I learned to golf. And, my first year of golfing, I didn't have kids. So I was out twice a week,
hmm
year round. I was like very avid golfer.
Right.
And I didn't realize what people deal with in other places because here we have perfect greens all year long. It could
Right.
be 130 degrees out, right? But if you go out and you tee off at 8 a.m., you're finished by 11. So that's when the heat's just starting to kick in.
Mhm.
And you have like probably, what, I don't know, 50 or 100 golf courses to choose from within driving distance of Las Vegas.
Yep.
You could go to every golf course in Las Vegas maybe 2 or 3 times in a year and never have to repeat much.
So I didn't know how many golf courses there were until I took this job. And my boss always says so much business is done on a golf course. Remember that. So if you want to get something done, invite them to golf.
And hey, can you imagine if you lived someplace where it rained 80% of the time?
Yeah, Seattle does not sound fun right now.
Oh, I
Seattle
know.
Northwest, no. I agree. This weather is great. Even, right now, obviously it's scorching hot, but there's no better feeling than in January when it's 70 degrees, where in other parts of the world or the country, it's freezing. So you can't beat that.
Yeah. I came from Pakistan, right? So I lived in Islamabad that has 100-degree weather in the summer
Oh, wow.
with 100% humidity.
Oof, that's not fun.
So Vegas heat, I'm good. I'm like, oh, this is like I've been baking all day. Let me just open that door.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, funny though. Like over the weekend, like we went to the lake like twice.
mhm.
I've never been to the lake here for some odd reason. Like I just thought the lake was so far. Lake Mead. I thought it was so far. I just never been. So
Really?
we went on Friday for my son's birthday, and it wasn't that crowded. It was hot. It was windy, so our cover, our umbrella, was blowing away. So we put it away. But I was like, wow, this is kind of like a hole in the wall that I've never known about.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not the beach. It's not sand everywhere, but the water was great. And then we went on Sunday, and it was crazy crowded. But it was just
Yeah.
like, people do things. People are getting out and about, and it's great to see. It's great to see that people are enjoying enjoying this time together. Doing little things like going to the lake because I never thought to go to the lake ever in my life.
Wow. Have you ever been to that like ranch house restaurant that's on your way to Mount Charleston?
I have not been to that. I've
Okay,
seen
it's
it.
like one of the best steaks in
Yeah.
all of Las Vegas.
You said the ranch. Where is
It
that? Which one
it's
is?
like I'm gonna have to like Google it and send you the info, but it's like never advertised. It's just this like little ranch style restaurant that's on your way to Mount Charleston.
'Cause I
like
know.
on N Road. It like
Oh, okay. I know. Yeah. So I know what you're talking about. Yeah. It's like right off the 215, like
yeah,
95, 215, and then yeah, and I think not Tanea, but sure right there. Yeah. You never see it. It's literally hidden. Actually, the funny
yeah,
thing, when I was a kid, we were looking for it. Like someone had told us about it, but we couldn't find it. And that was before, we had phones, Google Maps. So I think we just ended up going somewhere else. But as I got older, like, and I would drive in that area and I'd see it, I'm like, man, this thing is really hidden. But I've heard the same thing, like it's the best steak in Vegas. We'll definitely have to try that out.
yeah. I mean, there's like random places that are really super cool. Or were you ever able to go to Bonnie Springs before it shut down?
I've been there once. So I went there a couple years back during Halloween, and
Hmm.
that's a very interesting thing to walk through at night. So never again.
Okay, so I'm too chicken for that. I'm very easily scared. So no Halloween type visits for me. But I mean they have like the zombie apocalypse thing there. Or they did. Now that, they're kind of closed down. It's one of those relics that I think people who have experienced it kind of like the original Wet and Wild on the Strip.
Right.
It's just one of those things. They had like turtles, a little pond right outside the restaurant. Your kids could like look at all the turtles in the lake. Then there's the petting zoo and, all these cute little things, the relics of Las Vegas.
Yeah, the things you don't think about. It's the little things you're just like, oh, I did not know it was there. I did not know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But it was one of those things. It took me years to get out there.
Hmm.
And when I finally did, I was like, oh, this is the spot. I'm
Right.
coming here every week. I can go have a hamburger in the restaurant, whatever, walk around afterwards, and you almost forgot you're in Las Vegas. It was just one of those really cool spots.
It's kind of like how it was when I first went to Springs Preserve sometime last year. Like I'd
Hmm.
never been. I driven past it because it's by Meadows, but
Yeah.
we took the kids once. I was like, wow, this is pretty legit. I think we went for Halloween. Yeah,
Hmm.
that might make sense. I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. Like I just one of those things, you drive by, you're like, I heard of it. Maybe it's just for kids. You never go, and then you go, you're like,
Yeah.
I'm missing out.
Have you ever taken the kids to Ethel M's Cactus Gardens?
Yes, we've been to FLMs. We've gone during Christmas time, so they
Ooh, that's the best.
get to get chocolates, see Santa, the lights. Like you can't beat that.
Hmm.
Beat that at all. We're trying to, we want to do as many little things as possible. I think with well, not our generation, but the kids' generation, it's very, technology driven.
Yeah.
Everyone wants a phone. I want a Nintendo Switch. I want to just play on the Xbox. Leave me alone. iPad. So we
Hmm.
want to make sure we do those little things that allow kids to be kids. Because I think now more than ever, like you got to be a kid. Like it's as kids, we all want to grow up. We want to be adults, but
Hmm.
like you miss the little things about being a kid once you become an adult. So as long as we can remind them, hey, you're kids, but also do things that make you feel like a kid, I think we're doing our job.
That's the best part about being a parent, I think,
Yeah.
is, right when you feel like, okay, yeah, I'm growing up, like, oh, I can't be doing this or that because, I'm an adult. But then when you have kids, you get that permission to kind of just be a kid again,
Yeah.
just a little bit. And it's really fun.
I'm not gonna lie, I do. I mean, I get excited going to Disneyland more now than I did when I was a kid. Like, maybe it's because I've gone more than when I was a kid. I only went maybe like 2 or 3 times. But as an adult, I feel like we go every year. But I get that kid feeling again. Like you just feel it's like you leave all the stresses of life at the door. Not just at Disneyland, but sometimes when you do things with your kids, like you want to focus on them and be there for them. So you kind of forget about, oh, I didn't make the sale, or oh, I had a bad day, my boss hates me, or whatever. Like you leave all that at the door and just focus on being a parent. There's no better feeling.
Wonderful. Yeah, I totally get you. I feel the same way.
Can't beat that. But no, yeah, I definitely appreciate you having me on. This is great. I think we need more, podcasts, not just podcasts. We need more people just connecting with each other and just, learning about different backgrounds, kind of what you do, what we do, whatever. Like we need more connectivity. And I think right now we're all afraid to, again, like I mentioned earlier, like, oh, what do they want? So they want something from me. Sometimes like our best guess is just to connect with people, you know, especially in quarantine. All we can do is kind of connect through the internet, through
Mhm.
social media. So, you
For
know,
sure.
there's nothing wrong with just popping, and saying hi to someone. I try to say hi to at least 3 people a day.
That's really great. I've been intentionally trying to be more present with
Mhm.
people that I know and reach out. I designed goofy little quarantine cards to send to my friends,
Right.
and with no other purpose but like, hey, let's have a laugh about Tiger King. Like, oh, I could have probably just made a Facebook post, right?
Yeah.
But I had a lot of my friends say, wow, I really appreciate that you took the time to just write me a card and mail it to me. Like, because how many of us really get mail anymore, or
No.
like go and even check the mailbox or even care about it?
My wife is the queen of writing out handwritten notes, like
Oh,
letters, notes, cards. She does it every week, and it's my handwriting sucks, so she might write it for me. But I agree, like that human touch that you can't get typing it up. That human touch, you can't get it auto generated. Like you can't beat that.
yeah, definitely.
We'll just reach out to people just to say hi, like whether it turns into business or not. But I love making sure, especially during this time, I want to make sure everyone's okay. I want to make sure they know someone's in the corner, just saying hi, even if it doesn't turn to any business. Like my goal is just to connect with people. I think we are so, I don't want to say hardened, but we are so, it's just a sell. Like the world is kind of very like, if a stranger reaches out to you, it's like, oh, they must be trying to sell me something, or oh, they want to pitch me on something. And that's not always the case. Like we have to connect. Like connecting is how the world grows. Like, oh, I imagine business opportunities or, growth, hotels, businesses or whatever. It all started with conversations, just simple conversations. Not everything has to be structured to, oh, he wants to reach out to me to talk to me about this. It's like, no, I might just want to reach out and say hi. So anyways, I know that was a really long answer, but I've definitely
No, I
been.
love it, because what you say, I know you live by that. Because when you first reached out to me, I was like, oh, okay. I was like, I could talk to a financial advisor. I think you'd message me on LinkedIn. And I was like, okay, I'll check out his page. Okay, he's a financial advisor. I'm like, who doesn't want to talk to a financial advisor right now?
Mhm.
I know our generation, we're not looking at having Social Security as an option. We don't have that safety net that other generations previous to us have had.
Right.
We're graduating college with more debt. We are experiencing the fact that you're exiting out of college making the same as someone working at McDonald's.
Right.
And, our financial security is in such a precarious position than any other generation in the past.
I agree.
If we're not looking out for ourselves, who's looking out for us?
That's true. No one. Honestly, it's up to you to kind of sit down and say, where am I at and where am I going? Like, what do I need to do to change in my life? Like, I feel like we're taught, you kind of got to figure it out, but we kind of, like you said earlier, no one's kind of in our corner, but, we expect people to be in our corner, but like we're adults, as an adult, you have to, do uncomfortable things, but know that that uncomfortability will make sure that you're taken care of. Like no one wants to talk about their finances. I've talked to plenty of people who are like, I don't like thinking about it. But if you're not thinking about it, it's not doing anything. It's not
Yeah.
working the way you could, right? You're on autopilot. So be uncomfortable. Have those hard conversations, even if it's not with an advisor. Even just talking about it with your spouse, your mother. Like just knowing that at least you're thinking about it more will maybe lead to more action.
So, I wanted to talk a little bit about how you got interested in personal finance and how you became a personal financial advisor.
Yeah, so I actually was in the tech field for about 5 years. We did a lot of social media, aggregating social content. So that was kind of my thing, like sitting on a computer, streaming Twitter, Facebook, looking for content for breaking news. That was kind of something that we did back then. And then I got laid off. So our company was like, oh, we're gonna pack up, go to Utah. So you guys are gone. So I was kind of looking for a job. My next job, I want to settle down, find something that I can make a career, but also I want to help people. I believe in, doing good for others. Like that to me makes me feel good when I go out of my way to help people with whatever that is. So honestly, I saw this on, I saw a LinkedIn post about, hey, we're hiring for financial advisors, insurance agents. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I read about it. Actually interviewed with like my boss now, and he just kind of told me his journey, and I was sucked in. Like, I was like, wow, just like how you just talked about, like, he quit like 6 times his first month doing this. It was hard, but he said the reward is, you can look back and be like, all these people you helped, all these people that you set up financially to, make sure that if something does happen, that, their family's taken care of. And that to me just resonated with me because that's kind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to help people. So I, I guess it was kind of one of those random looking, pull out your hat, like, hey, here this is, let's go for it. So I went for it, and here we are, and I enjoy it. It's fun.
So if I wanted to do business with you, like what are the first steps?
Like the same way we're talking right now, the same thing. Kind of just having a chat and kind of just getting to know kind of what you're currently doing in terms of all aspects of finance. What does your insurance look like? Are you looking at college planning? Or what kind of investing are you doing?
Yeah.
Investing in your retirement? Are you kind of like, maybe not? Are you afraid to invest? Whatever.
I'm at a loss, Brennan. Like, I'm honestly one of those people. Like, I thought I had things squared away, but then I realized when I was laid off due to COVID, I'm like, a lot of what I do is tied in with my employer.
Gotcha.
And I feel like that puts me at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Because now as I'm going in full time as a realtor, I don't have like that corporate executive that's just, basically making all of those major decisions for me. And I just said, okay, what percentage do I want taken out of my check?
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for me, it's just more so just asking those questions, kind of getting to know you more, figuring out, what are your goals? Do you want to knock out debt? I mean, do you want to buy a home? Are you renting? Are you owning? Like, what are you currently doing? And then, kind of dream boarding, like you mentioned in our first conversation, like visualizing, like, what does, life after work look like for you? What is generational wealth? Like you mentioned, wanting to buy, homes for your kids next to each other, like just having a row full of homes, like that's a dream. What I mean? That's something that you can look at, but you can also build towards that. So for me, it's just kind of getting to know exactly what you're doing and helping out and building a plan, helping build a plan.
Awesome. Yeah. So definitely because right now with everything going on, I'm still like, everything's very much up in the air, but I definitely want to maybe set aside some time that we can talk about that.
Yeah, and I mean it's very chill. Like, I tell people, like, it's not as like, oh, we have to do something today and like we have to get started. Like, no, like even having that conversation is a step in the right direction. Even if we say, maybe in a couple months I'll start doing this or whatever, like that's better than just kind of letting it go. So honestly, it's just having a conversation, writing down some ideas and kind of brainstorming.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah. So definitely whenever you're ready, I'm here. I can definitely, navigate you, help you out. And again, whatever I don't know or whatever I need more insight on, I have no problem asking others to come in and help out.
Well, that's the awesome part about you, because a lot of people try to pretend that they know everything.
Yes. And that's tough. Like, I feel like I've sat down with people just because, just to listen or whatever. And they think they know everything. And then, when you prove them wrong or whatever, it's like, it's silence. And again, I get it. Like, sometimes your ego's talking, like, I think we've positioned ourselves to where, like, you can't be wrong. If you are wrong, you're worried, like, oh, if I don't know this, like, maybe she might talk to someone else, or, but sometimes it's okay to be wrong. Sometimes it's okay to just say, I need to learn.
Yeah. Well, I find also for myself is if I don't know something, I'd rather say I don't know it. But hey, I'm going to find out the correct answer before I answer that. I'm not going to give you the incorrect advice. And I found that a lot of people respect that more.
Yeah, I
We
agree.
are all human, and no one person knows everything. It's impossible.
Yeah.
But I feel the most intelligent people feel like, hey, I don't know everything, but I'll find out the answer.
Right. And it's okay. It's okay to ask. We're scared of asking. I'm sometimes scared to ask, but it's okay.
Yeah. I come from a place of there's no stupid question. And
Yep.
I also come from a place of yes. So if somebody's like, hey, you want to chat? Even if I'm like, oh, people will have, the automatic reaction. Oh, they're trying to sell me something, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've learned to kind of tone that down and say, what would be the worst outcome?
Yeah.
Oh, we had a conversation. Okay, well, that's not too bad. Like, let's just come from a place of yes. Right. And then for sure, we don't have to prejudge everything before we process the information.
Exactly. Worst case scenario, you try to pitch me on this or you want to do this. I'm like, oh, I'm good. Thank you though. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's it. It doesn't mean I'm upset like because you're doing it. Like I get it. Like especially not like I think I saw it like at the beginning of quarantine. Like someone mentioned like, don't be mad at your friends, who are reaching out to you for whatever reason. Like you don't know what it's for, but also like, they're also small business owners on their end. Like, they want to put food on the table. So if they can find a way to help you, of course, like they're just doing their job. It's not so much, oh, you're just trying to sell me something, without getting to know me or whatever, but they're trying to provide for their family just like you are. So
Yeah. I wanted to talk, I really wanted to point out something that you just said that really resonated. You went through a tough time, like where you lost your job and you had to rethink everything. And instead of saying, oh, hey, what can I do right now? You were like, I'm going to take this moment and decide what I really want to be. You chose that you wanted to find a career where you could help people every day. That really resonates with a lot of people right now because, a lot of people are going through some tough changes and thinking about the future and on how they can make sure that themselves, their family, their future children, and making their lives better because at the end of the day, jobs come and go, people come and go. But, if you're able to impact others, that's forever.
exactly. I completely agree. It's yeah, I mean, it's challenging, has its ups and downs, but I think being unemployed for a couple months allowed me to kind of just sit down and take a break, right? When you're at a job for so long, you kind of just you go through the motions a little bit, right? You kind of just like, all right, Monday through Friday, whatever your schedule is, and just come home, come home. A lot like being away or being unemployed for a few months allowed me to spend some time with my family. Like my youngest was born maybe 2 months before that, so I was able to
Wow.
her first 5-6 months of life. I was able to be there with her day in and day out, so that was nice. And just allowed me to kind of refocus and say, this is where I'm at. Where do I want to be 10 years from now, 15 years from now, excuse me. Like, so it was a blessing in disguise.
I really love that. Like that was very inspiring for me because I think, a lot of people need to hear that message that there's always that light at the end of the tunnel. And sometimes something that you might think is not the greatest, like right now with quarantine, with everybody having like a lot of, personal financial issues, that you can use this as a catalyst to put yourself into your dream path.
Yes, exactly.
So what is something that you would like, our audience to know about maybe looking out for their own financial future? Because right now with everything going on, I feel like there's been a shift. People really are breaking down what is important to them.
Right.
And I hear from my clients, I hear from my friends that, it's like, hey, I need to focus more on the people I love and our future. Because at the end of the day, jobs come and go, people come and go, but the people that really matter and making sure that we're there for them is what's most important. So how would you say that, going forward, your fellow Las Vegans, maybe should be reconsidering what they're doing financially?
Yeah, definitely. I think this time has showed us that now more than ever, it's important to be on top of your finances, but not even so much on top of it, but just aware of where your finances are. Little things like setting a budget. Like we talk about it a lot, like, how much money should I spend on groceries every month? How much money am I spending on gas, eating out, leisure, activities, whatever that looks like. Like being aware of where your money is going and being on top of it. Because, I can sit here and say I'm a mindless spender sometimes, where I just buy stuff. I'm like, oh wait, I bought that last week. It's just it's very hard, right? So I would say in terms of personal finances, it's just making sure that you're aware of what you're doing the little things, right? Looking at where your money's at, where is it going, and making sure it makes sense for where you are right now. Because we can't predict, pandemics. That's not something most people can predict. Like no one, could predict the, 2008 recession hitting in 2005, right? Maybe we saw it in 2007, maybe we saw it creeping up, but right? Or 9/11, things that hit the financial market, we just can't predict it. So this pandemic kind of hit people out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
I think it shows that we always need to be prepared because you just never know what tomorrow looks like. You never know what next week looks like. So making sure your family's protected, making sure you're aware of your finances. You know, if something does happen where you do lose your job, let's say millions of Americans have lost their jobs, but making sure you have that 3 to 6 months of emergency funds. So when tough times like this happen, you're fully prepared. So to me, I think it's just taking a step back, you know, maybe once a week, maybe once a month, whatever that looks like. It's just looking at your finances and making sure you have a plan in place to weather any storm.
I think that's some really great advice there. I mean, I'm that person that I purposely look for who in my network are small business owners that I can refer out to people that I meet, because I mean, you'd be surprised, as a realtor, people ask me for referrals on literally everything.
Yeah.
Or we'll be talking about something and it'll come up. You know, just a random, you know, oh yeah, you know, I'm trying to do this or that, whatever. And I'm like, you know, I'm not the expert on this, but let me connect you with my friend who I know can really help you.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I get some sort of like, I don't know, pleasure out of connecting people. I'm like, and I love when I connect people that, you know, are able to work together and help each other out. Like, it makes me really happy. And I feel like, hey, I accomplished something.
Exactly.
Yeah, it goes on my list of, yay, check it off.
I get that. I mean, it feels good to, you know, like be in a position to refer people to other people and, like you said, make that connection, because maybe that's probably someone they never would have came across. Like, oh, I have a guy who can help you with your taxes. Oh, you know what? I haven't done my taxes yet. You know, like those little things, you just never know. It's no better feeling than referrals. Referrals are the lifeline of our business, but it's also a lifeline of other businesses. You just never know who needs help with what. So you can refer as much business out. Like, that's just a connector. So.
Yeah, I was actually talking to my sister a few days ago. She's just buying her first home. We're closing end of July. So her next goal is to like start investing in her future and making sure she has all of that squared away.
I'd love to help. I'd love to meet her.
Definitely. I'll connect you guys. And I think she could really benefit. What do you think is something that our listeners can take away from this? Because, you know, right now with everything going on, almost everyone I know is thinking about their finances. Like, what do people need to do to get themselves in line to where they can benefit from a financial advisor? And maybe what are things that you can help people achieve?
Definitely.
Do?
I mean, I kind of like the first thing I mentioned. I think it starts with just figuring out a plan, but doing the small little things, like seeing where your finances are, but also where you want to be. I think for me, my goal is when I sit down with my clients is to figure out a plan, figure out what your goals are, short term and long term. I know, I'm sure you have this goes through your process as well in terms of finding a home, but like, what are your short term goals? Is it paying off debt, right? Do you still have that student loan debt? Do you have a bunch of credit card debt, whatever that looks like, car loans? Do you want to pay that off? And then long term, do you want to buy a home? Right? Are you renting right now? Are you just kind of trying to figure out, can you buy a home? Like, figuring out, like, is that the next step you want to take? Are you saving enough? Do you have money, do you have at least a couple months worth of expenses sitting in the bank, you know, and when pandemics like this happen, that you're prepared for?
Yeah.
And then what extra are you doing? Are you preparing for retirement? I think for, you know, people my age, kind of in my mid to late 20s, it's kind of like, retirement, I just started in my career, but time flies. I can tell you this, I graduated high school 10 years ago yesterday. So, I mean, it's 10 years have just flown by. Like, I don't even know where the time has gone, but time waits for nobody. So either you can start today, or you can be that person that like, I'll get to it. And then 10 years later, you never got to it. And now you're 40 years old and you're like, wow, I don't want to work forever. You know, I want to do something after work or whatever. Right. So I think I would just tell people, find a professional, you know, find someone that, like, it's our job to sit here and talk to you about these kind of things. Like, I know with technology, it's like, I can just enter information on a computer, they'll spit out some results, or I can, in your case, I can just go on Zillow and just look at houses and figure out what I want to buy, or I can just, you know, read articles and they'll tell me how to invest, or I can get life insurance, you know, I can get a quote really quick offline. Like, it's our job to sit here and talk to you and get to know you more and figure out, you know, your family life, figure out your work life, and just kind of build a plan together. So really my advice would just be, find someone you're comfortable with, find an advisor, a professional, vet people. Like, it's real. Like, ask questions, find out the different people, because there's plenty of advisors out here. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I'm better than this guy, that guy, or that girl. Like, there's plenty of us out here. And we just want to make sure that you're taken care of. We just want to make sure that your family's taken care of, because those are the things that keep us up at night.
That's fantastic. I want to dig in a little bit there because you've got so much experience with, helping people set themselves up for future success. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of clients and a lot of my friends that for one reason or another, you can Google, you can do this and you can do that, whatever, right? But at a certain point, it just, they're going out there saying they're going to do this and that, but they have a hard time getting there, because there is so much information.
Right.
I found that for me personally, I would much rather have somebody who I feel comfortable with, who I can discuss all of my issues, right, and who's already the expert. They've done their research, and I can just go to that person and explain them my whole situation and say, hey, what can I be doing here?
Okay.
I have that tendency of like researching things for weeks and never actually doing anything. I don't know. Have you ever experienced that?
Yes. Kind of get like, I feel like the internet is just a rabbit hole of just like information. You're just like, oh, I'm looking. Next, like the next day I'll have like 7 articles up of so many different things. I'm like, I'll start reading one thing, click on a link, go to another. Like it's so easy to get consumed with information.
I mean, according to Google, I now have a PhD in medicine, in naturopathy. I have one in astronomy and social media. Like I'm super educated according to Google.
It's all certified to give our opinions on everything.
So how can people reach out to you if they have more questions? Because, finances are something really personal. And I know people just sometimes if they connect with you, which I feel I have, your energy is so amazing. You're such a positive person. And I really enjoy discussing things with you. But, people sometimes want to say, hey, I'd love to give so-and-so whatever, a DM or a call. How can people reach out to you?
Definitely. I mean, there's a couple different ways. Obviously, social media has connected us all. So on Facebook, you can find me at Brandon Catron, Brandon, Brandon, and Catron, Catron. You can see my business page on there as well. Brandon Catron, agent with New York Life. You can go to my website, www.newyorklife.com/agent/bcatron.
For sure. I really appreciate your time, Brandon. And, I really appreciate you coming on the show. I've connected with you a lot, and I hope that, I can maybe have you advise me on some decisions that I'd like to make for my future. And maybe my audience as well would like to reach out to you. So thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me. I think this is a wonderful idea. Like, I love that your vision is I want to connect more small business owners in Vegas. Like, I want to talk more about the community, because I think now more than ever, like community is everything. Like talking to local business owners, seeing where they're at. Like yesterday, I saw on the news like a petite bakery around the corner closed down, and she was just in tears, and it broke my heart because I've been there before. I've been to bakery before. Me and my wife have visited before, and it just broke my heart with that small businesses are losing business, and they're closing up for good. This pandemic, it definitely ruined lives. Obviously with deaths, but obviously with, business closures. But I think this is great that you're wanting to, get in the community and just have more people just talk about what's going on in their lives. Like, I think we need more of this. So I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you. I appreciate you.